We are here because 68 years of our independence, and someone will ask the question, today as we gather to mark the 68 years of freedom, justice, resilience, the unbreakable spirit of our nation. I recall 68 years ago, the dawn, a great dawn broke over our land, and our forebearers, those fathers who have passed on, with sweat and toil, they sacrificed and tore down the wall of colonial rule and lifted the banner of freedom and independence. And in the words of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he said, and I quote, "At long last, Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever." But today, as we stand on this foundation he laid, we must ask ourselves, are we truly free? Are we free from corruption, selflessness, and greed? Are we free from environmental and water body destructions and wastefulness? Are we free from complacency and mediocrity? Ghana is speaking to all of us. Ghana calls for every one of us. The answer to that call is in your hands. The future of Ghana is not in the hands of God. The future of Ghana is in your hands. So as we celebrate our 68th independence, we do not just reflect on our past, but we renew our pledge to protect, 2, to build, and 3, to transform Ghana for future generations. We are not doing this for ourselves, but we are doing this for future generations. The next generation should come and meet a better Ghana, a glorious Ghana, a victorious Ghana, a Ghana where everyone would desire to live in, not people where people will rush to go out and seek for greener pastures. We must rise with one voice. Remember, God has done his part because we have prayed enough. We have prayed enough. Let me repeat that. We have prayed enough. So God has done his part. Now we must do ours. Are you hearing me? God has done his part. We must do ours. And because of this, there are a few things I would like to highlight as part of what we must do to move our country forward. Number 1, we must protect and preserve Ghana for future generations. We must protect and preserve Ghana for future generations. In other words, our leaders of today, our leaders of yesterday, and our leaders of tomorrow are not leaders for themselves, but they are leaders for the cause of the next generation. So we must protect and preserve Ghana for future generations. That is why it's very worrying if we should sell all state properties, if we should bequeath every resources and go for all the loans and use our resources to mortgage our loans for the next 30 years. When the next generation of Ghanaians come, where are they going to live? And what are they going to do? True leaders don't think about today. True leaders think about the next generation. There is a big difference between leaders and politicians. True leaders think about tomorrow. Politicians think about today. Statesmen think about the next generation. Politicians think about what I can get now. My own dear friend, Honorable, with all respect and all your team members, I strongly believe that most of your colleagues who are politicians are not patriotic people. Most of them are not patriotic citizens. But true patriotic leaders think about the next generation and how to make the nation better for the next generation to thrive on. Genesis 2:15 tells us the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. Just as God commanded Adam to take care of Eden, we must protect our forest, our rivers, our natural resources to ensure a better Ghana for future generations. God created Adam and planted him in the garden. We have been born and been planted in Ghana. We also have one mandate: protect what you have inherited, take care of what you have inherited, and make sure the next generation will be better. We have that responsibility. Every one of you who is a church member, or you don't even go to church but a Ghanaian, you have that responsibility. Number 2, national progress actually requires hard work, integrity, and accountability. Ghana will not rise on slogans. It takes diligence and honesty and a national vision. Let me say that again. Ghana will not rise on slogans, but will take diligence, honesty, and a national vision that will drive our country. I want to encourage you, don't get tired in promoting what you stand for, what you believe in. Because since 2020, like our pastor said, I have trumpeted and called for the need that national service, when you complete national service, you should be recruited in the military service so that you can be able to have some military discipline. If we do that consistently for the next 20 years, we will produce a disciplined society. 5 years after this call, our president in his SONA and State of the Nation address has agreed that they will now get our national service, get into some military training for some period of time. That is a good start. And I'm thankful to God that that message is seeing the light of day. And I thank God that 5 years ago, as you saw in the clip, I stood here and I called for a national conversation that we must change the name of Kotoka International Airport to Kwame Nkrumah International Airport. Today, it is seeing the light of the day. I was the sole voice calling for a number of political leaders. Honorable, they told me that they believe it is something that must be discussed, but everybody was afraid to talk about it. I met one of the political leaders in the previous government who is a member of cabinet and said, that message I gave was a message that must be discussed, but everybody seemed to be afraid to raise it as a topic. But thank God today, we are correcting history. Don't get tired of saying what you believe in. 15 years I have been calling for a national vision that will drive our country. A national vision that will be accepted by all political parties and stakeholders. Not a national vision developed by one political party, but a national vision that will be owned by all. No nation historically has ever developed without a national vision. And the wisest man who ever lived, Solomon, said, without vision, the people go through circles. Go to nations that have developed, including Dubai and others. They have 30 years vision, 40 years vision, and they are achieving it. Someone is asking, but if we have a national vision, how are we going to work on it since we change governments? As our political leaders are here, it is a very simple thing. When we have a national vision, it will have to be consolidated, a vision that will involve every Ghanaian. We must have national stakeholders, all political parties. Let them put all their manifestos together, because most of their manifestos represents the aspirations of the average Ghanaian. Put them together. Let's have that national conversation. And once we establish it, Parliament must legislate that now any government divide it into several segments, thematic areas. Any government that comes into office, they can decide within the vision they will want to focus on education and agriculture. The next government will say, I will continue, but then I will also add another aspect of the vision, industrialization. And then by the next 20 years, we are building precept upon precept. We lay the foundation, we build upon it. By 20 years' time, we will all arrive at that destination. Why? Because each government is building upon the vision layer by layer, and we will all arrive there. So I believe over 15 years, I believe that in my lifetime, I will see the national vision driving Ghana. The third thing we should consider, we must build economic and agricultural sufficiency. We must improve in our agriculture. I strongly believe that perhaps we should consider the Acheampong, Operation Feed Yourself policy and strategy. During that period, Ghana had enough to feed herself and to provide for other nations. So our government should consider the Acheampong Operation Feed Yourself plan and strategy, because it makes no sense to import tomatoes from outside. It makes no sense to import onions. It makes no sense. I will ask the media to show something I saw in the Daily Graphic, that we spent 2.69 billion Ghana cedis importing animals' intestines. Honorable titles: animal, kolo, amemusunibi, liver, koto. Animal intestines. We import this year, 2024. We spent 2.69. Wondering what our developed partners, the wise, will think about us. That you mean these blacks can spend 2.69 billion Ghana cedis for intestines that they would use it as feed and throw it away, but we will import it as our delicacy? Something is wrong with us. Tell your neighbor something is wrong. Tell your neighbor it's an error.
It's an error.
No, you are not sure of it. Because you eat that. I'm sure some of you eat that. Wele and Dad, you have a problem. We have a problem. Tell somebody we have a problem.
We have a problem.
What? Look, I strongly believe that government should put a ban on this. Government should put a ban. And our honorable regional minister, I'm asking you to convey this to Mr. President. Government should put a ban. This is an embarrassment, a disgrace to our national identity. We can use this money to redeem the over 4,000 schools under trees, and each year build a number of schools. And by the next 4 years, we can eradicate the over 4,000 schools under trees in our country. I believe that after 68 years, at least, we must start having quality health care for all. Yeah. At least we must have one good hospital where even when our president and his cabinet ministers and the political elite are sick, they can be treated there. I believe it's an error for any politician in government to send his children to schools overseas, whilst the rest of us would send our children to public schools here. It's an error. If you're a political leader and you are in government, you don't have the luxury of sending your children to schools in overseas. Because if they go to schools in overseas, what policy are you developing? For who to benefit? If you believe in our education, let your children go to our public schools so that you can develop quality policy that can improve in our education. It's an error for any political leader in office to send their children to overseas. You and I, as citizens, you can do that. But the moment you become a political leader in office, you must bring your children back to Ghana and let them enjoy the policy that you are enacting for the development of the country. So the fourth thing we should do is to have development. Development must be for all. Development must be for all. It must be number 5. We must reject corruption and the wastefulness in our country. Proverbs 29:4 says, by justice a king gives a country stability, but those who are greedy for bribes tear it down. So Ghana, we must reject wastefulness, and fight against corruption. That is why I believe that we must encourage our president to pursue the oral Operation Recover All Loot. And we must have the mindset of attitudinal change and cultural change. The media will put something on this the screen. You know, an exams I did. That is, some of you here have seen that. My A-level paper in 1978, my advanced education level A-level paper, that is it, 1978 general paper, all right, in sixth form. There was a question which I would walk you through to read. I have kept my exams papers to date. It's 47 years since I wrote that paper. 47 years ago. That is my signature there. My signature still hasn't changed. Now, give me question 5. We will look at question 5. All right, get my phone for me. Question 5, yes. Now, question 5. In most West African societies, people tend to lavish too much of their resources on funerals. Suggest how this practice could be curtailed. 47 years ago, Deacon Rudolph, the question was, I was 18, 20 years as a student, and we were told that in West Africa and Ghana, we spend unnecessary resources on the dead. So we should suggest ways and means the government and the society could reduce it. After 47 years, we are worse off. We are worse off. Madam Regional Minister, we are worse off after 47 years. That speaks volumes to me. You know what it tells me? There is absence of leadership driving our country. There is absence of leadership in certain sectors of our economy. 47 years, we are worse off. Today, we are not only worse off, but this time, we have taken the management of burial and the dead to a higher level. That we lay the dead, either if he's a carpenter, then we get him a table, a bench, and he's with a hacksaw or with a saw. If it's an electrician, one time I saw an electrician, and the dead has been decorated mounting electrical poles. One was selling cocoa and bread, and they had the pot and the cocoa, and the dead woman had been decorated, and people had lined up. Something is wrong with our brains. We need even to understand the health implications of this, the way we are managing the dead. We must understand the health. Yet, the past government, the present government, and possibly the future government has been silent. At least the Ghana Medical Association should do something about it and make sure there will be a policy to stop this foolishness. This is a public health hazard. You and I, as a citizen, cannot stop it. But we have authorities that would say that this nonsense must stop. Yeah, this is one. She's selling cocoa dead and decorated. You look at this. Can't we even allow the dead to die in peace? And you, family members, if you decorate your dead like that, may they hunt you and hunt your children. May they come back and hunt you and hunt your children for maltreating them. Where did we learn this from? Look. An electrician and a coconut climber. Oh, dear Lord. This is it. What is wrong with us? For how long are we going to watch this and don't stop it? I am suggesting and calling on the Minister of Health to initiate a policy that this nonsense must stop. Let us have a dignified way of burying the dead. Let's have a dignified way of commanding respect. Let's treat one another with dignity. 47 years ago, whilst a student and writing my A-level paper, they said we spend unnecessarily so much money. Now, 47 years after, we are worse off. we must call for leadership that should bring change in our cultural values. The sixth thing I would like to suggest is that we must manage our transitional arrangements with maturity. After 68 years, we should manage our transitional provisions or arrangement with maturity now. After 68 years, when there is a change in government, from January 7th to some few weeks ago, change in government, a group of people will walk to a managing director's offices, yaba. So we are driving away and throwing and getting the managing director or whatever out of office. In this civilized environment, in this civilized generation, who does that? Which country behaves like that? We have gone through a successful elections, but the aftermath is an embarrassment. You know, the NDC did it to the MPP. The MPP did it to the NDC. And it's all tit for tat, tit for tat. But our transitional management must be managed with maturity. UK changed government, and the following day, the new government took over a peaceful situation. You see, that is how civilized people conduct their lives. I'm not saying we are not civilized, but I'm telling you that is how civilized community conduct their lives. I think I told you the last time that one of the change in government, one of the change in government, they went to throw away, they removed those who were managing public toilets, and they sacked them and they got them out of the place. I was in overseas and we had a conversation, and these wives were having a meeting with me, Honorable, and said that we are reading in your newspapers that people were fighting over the management of public toilets. Can you imagine the question they posed to me, that people in your country are fighting over the management of public toilet? And I said, yeah, Charlie, you don't understand. Public toilet is like mining gold. They said, really? I said, yeah, man, it's like mining gold. The resources are huge. And therefore, when people are fighting over it, it's just like mining gold and oil. It's like the black oil. He said, really? I said, yeah. But what do you expect me to say? What do you expect me to say to my foreign friends? What do you expect me to say? So we should move away and manage our transition effectively. In closing, I would say that the future of our country does not depend upon politicians. It depends upon all of us. Let me say that again. The future of our country does not depend on politicians alone. It depends on all of us. We must embrace our national pride, work hard, and contribute to national development. God has blessed Ghana, but it is up to us to harness the blessing through wisdom and hard work. I may make this statement, could be controversial, and I know sometimes my colleagues may pick me up, but it says 72% of the population are Christians, Honorable. Christians. They go to church. 17% are Muslims, religious. If you put it together, 97% of the population are religious. They fear God. That is what they say. They fear God and they honor God. That's what they say. Yet if our country is engulfed in such massive corruption, the correlation does not gel. It doesn't correlate with the religious group of people. Because in other communities where they are not Christians and what have you, there is honesty and decency. So perhaps if I were Mr. President, I would give you, the Christians, 3 months to see transformation. If I don't see transformation, Sundays will be a working day. Sunday will be a working day. Because there is no use for your Sunday worship. And then Monday through to Friday, you are heavily corrupt and destroying the water bodies and the nation. I will give you 3 months to change. Or else, your Sundays will be a working day. I will call all the Christian leaders together. Christian Council, Catholic Secretariat, GPCC, NAC, all of them, and charge them. Give them 3 months to bring a strategy and a program that can change our moral behavior. Or else, no more Sunday worship for you. Let us renew our pledge for Mother Ghana. Not just in words, but in action. Ghana's future is in your hands. And by the grace of God, Ghana will rise. Tell a friend that Ghana's future is in your hands.
Ghana's future is in your hands.
Tell another person, Ghana's future is in your hands.
Ghana's future is in your
And
hands.
Ghana will rise.
Ghana will rise.
I have hope, and I am a strong believer that we will make great progress as a nation. Long live Ghana and long live our independence. May God bless this country and may God bless all of us.
Promise all my honor to be faithful and loyal to Ghana, my motherland. I pledge myself to the service of Ghana with all my strength and with all my heart. I promise to hold in high esteem our heritage won for us through the blood and soul of our fathers. And I pledge myself in all things to uphold and defend the good name of Ghana. So help me